Asian New Century. The post-JCPOA period in Iran is a turning point in the emergence of the new Asian century, and it is necessary to properly understand Iran's unique position in this global shift of power from west to east. We in Iran have a polluted political media current whose mission is to cover up and downplay the political defeat of the West and its lovers. With the coming to power of the 13th government, Iran significantly bypassed US and FATF sanctions. The tankers that passed in front of the US and Israeli troops in the Red Sea, the Suez Canal and the Mediterranean Sea and delivered fuel to Syria and Lebanon were evidence of the death of passive diplomacy. Gone are the days when the problem of drinking water and production and employment and housing construction and environmental protection and all conditional on the consent of the United States and avoided accountability. Iran is defeating Western sanctions, from Damascus and Beirut along the Mediterranean to Tajikistan and the Shanghai Agreement. But this is not the whole story. Iran can play an effective role in the formation of the new Asian century and the transfer of power from the West to the East. The transfer of power is what is seen in the literature of Western politicians. Western analysts have long spoken of the end of the US-led order and the rise of the Asian century, and this is happening before our eyes. Iran, while extending the Tehran-Baghdad-Damascus-Beirut transit road to the Mediterranean Sea, can connect North and East Asia, from China, India, and Russia to Tajikistan, Uzbekistan and Pakistan, to West Asia, with little possibility. Provide a pattern of trade in this route north to south and east to west. Comprehensive and effective diplomacy means delivering fuel tankers in West Asia to Damascus and Beirut as you expand the axis of economic cooperation by joining the Shanghai Cooperation Organization to East and North Asia. Emerging powers such as China and Russia each have significant strengths, but they also have weaknesses and gaps, and collective participation in Asia with such countries can provide economic and geopolitical opportunities for regional allies while covering each other's weaknesses. America's internal problems and dichotomies have proven to Western politicians that the American system no longer plays a guiding role and is a warning to Western nations that they must seek a new political and social system. The Shanghai Agreement is a great opportunity for Iran, and Iran is using this agreement as an opportunity for diplomacy and trade and partnership with other parts of the world. But do not make a mistake, Shanghai is not the pinnacle of Iran's progress. The Islamic Republic of Iran has introduced a new, humane, just and based plan of mutual respect in the world, and it is advancing this solid logic with diligence, rationality, and divine help. The Soviet Empire collapsed 2 decades ago, and the United States has no choice but to do so. Experts acknowledge that if it were not for Iran's resistance in West Asia, the United States would have turned the region around and put pressure on China and Russia, and even its Western allies, from Britain and France and Germany in the west to Japan and South Korea and India in the east. Had laid. The United States, with control of 60% of the world's energy resources, could dictate its demands to the east and the west. The United States, on the one hand, had advanced to the gates of Russia in Eastern Europe, and on the other, could have taken over China, which needed the resources of West Asia. The United States waged a World War IV and a color revolution in the region, trying to seize Heartland. There was only one emerging power that braked the rebellious America, and that was the Islamic Republic of Iran. Unlike the United States, which betrayed its allies, from Afghanistan to France, and stabbed them in the back, Iran did not turn its back on its allies. For this reason, today in the world, Iran is considered a reliable ally. It was the resistance front that prevented the preparations for a unipolar world. As it reduced the evil of regional terrorism from the world, it curtailed the evil of America's arrogant globalization from many nations and governments and allowed it to breathe in a multipolar and pluralistic world. Iran does not belong to any country, but it recognizes its honorable position and the work of the factory it has formed in the world, and it will behave in the same way in the future.